Attitude. There, done. We got it.
Those are the 6 players of Skyfoxes, but those names together should make an almost super team. At the beginning of the season, a lot of people were saying, hey, this team will finish second in their group. No doubt about it. That didn't even happen because they're playing today in the quarterfinals. Grunto are now third. What is that? Third limit? It's not third limit. I'm going to say that for the next 10 years, though. Third Impact, I think is what it's called. Their new team, Grunto, is going to be that second seed. Phase 2 now, going to be rocking A10 on the Reaper. He has said on Twitter a lot how good and how Reaper is his favorite character. Maybe we're going to be seeing that here. He does help take Attitude down, so one Reaper will remain, and that's going to be Phase 2, and they're going to find an extra pick as well. So this is the 5v4 against Skyfox. Lastro so close to the Coalescence. Look at the other side. Nishik beating Lastro to that Coalescence. They also tap the point. They're going to push him off, and Phase 2 should feel good here for the time being, especially with that DMAX.
Very good stuff from Phase 2. Again, they just rushed into Skyfoxes. They know the names that they're coming up against, and they want to show, I ain't scared. They isolate and take Who Are You and Attitude out of the fight immediately. So even with the DMAC coming through, Skyfoxes just didn't have the firepower to sustain against Phase 2. They topped things off with the Coalescence. Honestly, I don't think they would have needed it, but since Lastro popped his, it's best to just guarantee you can hold on to the point because this is so advantageous for Phase 2. Skyfoxes are the ones who are going to have to make a very obvious engage.
Other than the supports, Phase 2 winning in the ultimate battle right now. Zishik and Lastro use the Coalescence in at the last fight, and they're pretty much neck and neck. A10 finds Clodeman, Sox finds the Moira, and A10's going to be able to take down his Reaper on the other side. First, he's going to get rid of the Mei. The Reaper's actually going to be able to survive for the time being, and A10 really showing that the regular season was just practice all along for this moment.
A10, it stands for Reaper Main.
Exactly. Phase 2 now coming in with 4 ultimate Skyfoxes, close to all 6. So at 70%, this is the last opportunity for Skyfoxes to make anything happen, and then to follow that up, they have to win every single fight from here on out. They want to enter this fight with a huge advantage, especially since they potentially have the ultimate go into it. That's not going to be the case with Phase 2. You have some defensive options. Nisha can go ahead and use that Coalescence. Blizzard comes out as well. A10 finds Clodeman, who's not been able to stay alive for very long during these engages. A10's going to try to reposition the Maywall, though. He's going to keep him out. It's going to be his own Maywall. And now he's going to move forward. He's trying his best to get that Death Blossom going. The sound barrier is the only reason why he's going to still be alive. Self-destruct is out. The Maywall is there. They do take down the Mei. Sock sacrifices himself to get this into overtime. At 99-0, Skyfoxes have already used a lot of those super important ultimates. Phase 2, in my opinion, have gotten a net gain out of this engage so far, because this could have gone way worse for them. They're coming up on a little bit more as well. Supercharger is going to be available. Coalescence will be available. Skyfoxes, though, looking at their tools, do have the opportunity to defend for a little while, but for another 90 seconds, maybe not.
Could happen. You saw the way that Phase 2 was trying to play their defense very proactive, and that's oftentimes what you have to do, especially in mirror compositions where there's no secrets, there's no surprises in what you're probably going to be bringing to the table. But Skyfoxes just have so many tools. Phase 2 got to play a very, very well played and precise game in order to do that.
Attitude's going to relocate to the high ground. Death Blossom on the top of Phase 2 does find Salt Shaker. Skyfoxes should be able to hold on, but they've got to cycle these ultimates. Ultimate economy has been a little bit of an issue for some of the teams today. Skyfoxes need to break that curse. Phase 2 really have nothing, so Skyfoxes still should be in control. It's going to be about 60% before Phase 2 can come out and appropriately attack this point.
Yeah, bar an outstanding pick of some kind. Could come from Sox, but Skyfoxes have whittled themselves down to just the Blizzard, and Pika might be hungry. He's seen tons of ults in the past.
Really nice that Maywall's going to separate. Are you going to throw that Blizzard as well? They're still going to be winning out here, but now look at those check marks. Only the self-destruct for Skyfoxes. This is going to be the make or break moment. If they're able to weather the next attack, I think this should be Skyfoxes' round, which looked to be in the bag for Phase 2 earlier on, but that ultimate usage for Skyfoxes has been pretty clean, especially here in the mid to late game.
Yeah, and we're probably going to see an early Coalescence from Lastro as well once he gets that. You never know when you're going to be able to pick off a stray, wayward Squishy. Phase 2 are the ones who need a lot of time and space to set A10 and Stocks up in order to unleash these ultimates, and anything could happen to them in that duration.
A10 is looking for an opportunity. He wants to use the Death Blossom. The Self-Destruct comes out. Lessard in the middle, though. Doesn't find anyone with the Self-Destruct. Death Blossom comes out from A10. Does find the Lucio. It's going to be a 6v4. He's going to follow that up with a kill onto Attitude, who's going to be unable to use his Death Blossom in time. The Coalescence pushes the rest of Skyfoxes off the point. Phase 2 capture the point once more. This will be a 99-99, but when Phase 2 had the advantage, they took it. They take the round as well, 1-0. Skyfoxes will have to come back and win the next two if they want to try to win Nepal. Skyfoxes have had a little bit of a hard time this season. We talked about consistency. We talked about them playing a little lackadaisically at times as well. They really need to start putting it all together. They were able to do that in the mid-game when they had the ultimate advantage, but after that, when they lost that advantage, you're looking for that grit, right? What is going to take me over the top? If I'm going to be in a losing situation, who can I count on to bring me over it? And it's usually Clone Man, but Clone Man on Orisa is going to be less so.
Yeah, not quite the same carry potential with this hero. Phase 2 also had Lep ready with the sound barrier to keep A10 alive during the spinning and winning, whereas Skyfoxes lost Karkar too early. He was like 88% to sound barrier. It could have all changed if Skyfoxes had a bit more of those support ultimates. As it stands right now, they want a bit more of that freeze and, well, freeze and shoot, I suppose, between Attitude and Who Are You. They take up space on the point right away. Phase 2 are going to be playing a little bit more of that patient hope game with Pika and A10 searching for hooks, looking for picks.
Did you have vision on Skyfoxes right now? A10 uses it and finds that pick. It's on the main. That's a big one for them. A10 continuing his hot streak right now. And A10's not someone who plays every single map for Phase 2, but I think he's playing himself into some of those other maps because that man has a hot hand right now and is usually on the Reaper, but this time around it's going to be on the Hanzo as well, as he does get the D-Mag. Last year is going to fall off the map. Skyfoxes will lose this first take as well. You saw how that, saw what happened last time.
Attitude is actually going to swap onto his own Hanzo here. Oh, Who Are You? Manages to take down Nietzsche before he himself goes down, but that means Skyfox is going to have to give over more free point percentage while they wait for the Mei to come back in. And playing the long distance game can, sometimes it doesn't work out. It's all impended upon your Hog and Orisa landing that combo and with your Hanzo landing those picks. Otherwise, Skyfoxes could have just hung out on that point until they, finished out the map. As it stands now, they're going to try their own long distance game, but they're going to have to work through these ults first.
Sonic Arrow goes through. That's going to be a big one. It's going to separate Skyfoxes, especially the Coalescing Moira. The Transcendence does come in for Phase 2, so the Coalescence should be canceled out. 13 HP and a Dream tries to jump into the Coalescence, but as he makes it onto the objective, the Transcendence is going to deplete. So Attitude going to find that kill in instead. 65 now for Skyfox. There's a team going on the other side, but the Blizzard's going to lock up 3 members of Phase 2. The Sound Barrier is going to keep some of them alive. Saltmaker trying to break this one back, taking the Mei around, and Attitude is going to take him down. The Sound Barrier is invested in this fight for Skyfoxes, but look, all the while, Phase 2 still getting some progress on the objective. This does flip at 61%.
Skyfoxes now are going to be sitting on a pretty ultimate bank as well, but man, that was a saga and a half following Attitude's journey through the Ice Ages, getting frozen, nearly dying, killing the Mei. And now Phase 2 have to look for some of that same halt hook magic, or A10 of course can find those early picks.
Self-Destruct coming up, and it's going to force them to just take a little bit of extra time to approach the point. Attitude finding that pick is a big deal for Skyfox. There's one coming right back at him. The 5v5 right now. Is there going to be an environmental pick or a headshot after that halt? No, it will not. Clone Man has Supercharger. That should definitely help the Dragon Strike when that comes through. Phase 2 still trying to get to some of those ultimates. Skyfoxes get to surpass the percentage of Phase 2 so far. Saltmaker does get the DMX, so all projectiles are coming in from Phase 2 will go through. Last year got very low, even while he was coalescing, and A10's going to go ahead and stop and get a second kill. And even though his team is low, he's keeping his team in this. He's also got the Dragon Strike. The Transcendence was invested trying to keep this fight alive. Maybe got a little excited by A10's pick, but that was not the right decision from Nick.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Phase 2 really had a shot there to keep pushing in, but eventually they decided not to, and that Transcendence definitely a major overinvestment. Phase 2 do have the option with this Dragon Strike now, but everybody has to be ready to zoom in right afterwards and capitalize on the back.
A10 still has that Dragon Strike. Like you said, this might be one of the last opportunities to actually use it. He does take down Clone Man, who's been dying first very often. Yes, he is the Orisa, but the rate he's dying is very, very early for Skyfoxes when they end up losing these fights. But so far, it's the only casualty for Skyfox. He moved on to that hamster to try to get back onto the objective as fast as possible. So this is going to be a 66 in no time. A10 needs to find more picks. Shaker's going to finish off that May. The Lucio should be the next one to come down, but he's going to survive. Oh, he's finally going to be taken down, and FaZe 2 take the point, and the sound barrier is going to get infested as well. Interesting support ults this time for FaZe 2. Nishik used Transcendence a little oddly earlier, but now they're going to have it back, so it might not matter.
A couple of twitchy trigger fingers amongst the supports of FaZe 2, but hey, you're coming up against Who Are You attitude and Hoon, so you're going to be a little bit afraid for your own life and that of your team, but it was so crucial for FaZe 2 to kill Who Are You. He had Blizzard, and if he had thrown that out, Nishik didn't have trans. There was no way for FaZe 2 to react to that. So really good target prioritization, and that's who they should go for again.
Attitude going to try to do a little bit of what A10 did a little earlier and just get some picks from the bridge. Good vision is going to, they're going to know exactly where FaZe 2 is approaching.
Yeah, this is going to be a free Blizzard now. If they can't kill Who Are You, Nishik pop that trans so early.
Attitude going to be low, going to be taken down by it. Socks that right click is so very strong, and the Blizzard's going to be eaten by Hoon, so they're not going to have that Blizzard as Skyfoxes own the point at 99.99. There's no Blizzard for FaZe 2. There are no ultimates for FaZe 2. This should be all Skyfoxes on the objective, but FaZe 2 not letting them, not going down without a fight, not letting them get this easily as Skyfoxes do take a couple casualties. Who Are You going to have to come back from spawn, but as of right now, FaZe 2 are still behind in this fight.
Still behind here, but Who Are You is on his patented Doomfist. FaZe 2 can't just be staying even. They need to find these picks. Nishik, though, 75% up to that Transcendence. He can change everything by popping that support ultimate.
Who Are You going to try to get this down on the field? He's going to lose the 1v1 against Nishik. Attitude going to be behind the way. The Transcendence is going to be here very shortly. He's going to get that pulse bomb very soon as well. Clayman using the Supercharger means that they got extra damage, or FaZe 2 does not, and the Supercharger is going to push them over the edge. Thrilling end to Sanctum as Skyfoxes and FaZe 2 will enter round 3 deadlocked 1-1.
Whew. I feel like that was faster than like half of our previous series. I mean, that's longer than half of our previous series. 1-1, folks. It's all going to come down to Village. And this is not somewhere where we see the Hanzo played very often. It's definitely going to be more of a Reaper May playground as FaZe 2 do swap to those heroes. Skyfoxes probably not going to be playing Symmetra, but you never know. The meta still has not yet been written.
I mean, We've got a novella's worth of meta,
it's like
I
the
think,
first
from
chapter
Overwatch
and then
League,
the
right?
drafts for the next 6. Right?
Or like an author that is unable to complete their book before they pass, right? We have to finish the book for them.
Posthumous publication.
Oh, nice. Alliteration as well. As Skyfoxes in Phase 2 going to be entering Village. This is going to be a make or break for both teams because I think if you win this first map, the momentum can really bring you to the rest of the series. Nice wall is going to separate some members of Phase 2, but so far no casualties as the Reinhardt shield is going to be enough. And it's very interesting that Pika is going to be the one on the Reinhardt as they're going to be doing double main tank with the Orisa and the Reinhardt. That's a ton of shielding. Maybe that's how you get Reinhardt back into this meta, but as of right now, it does look like it's working quite a bit as they're still in this fight. Hoon's going to get teamed and taken out, and while it seems like an interesting decision, especially since Pika's not ever played Reinhardt in Contenders before, he already has Shatter before the Orisa has Supercharger, but there are going to be picks coming in from Skyfox. It's not over just yet, but the Shatter's going to get 2 kills onto the Fire Strike. I think we might have a new Reinhardt mate here.
Yeah, first surprise Ryan, Frill. Second surprise Ryan, Pika. But, I mean, man, Phase 2 going for the double main tank. I mean, Skyfoxes have a ton of CC, a lot of damage, but they definitely got taken by surprise with the double main tank because going to defeat them once again by going all the way back to spawn and swapping to the Diva. This is going to be so handy there for eating Blizzards and for eating the potential Death Blossoms.
Oh, Hoon has had a hard time keeping his neck healthy, but if he's able to give his supports a little bit of extra charge, that's going to be worth it in the end. Attitude just pretty much taking out the Battle Bongo. That's it. He sacrificed himself for the Supercharger, and then the rest of his team falls. I think Skyfox is getting ahead of themselves just a little bit. That, to me, is a lack of communication. Yeah,
he gets rid of not only himself, but that ultimate as well. It could have been such an important point-clearing ultimate later on. It's got Phase 2 are at 50% right now, but in the blink of an eye, that's going to be a 0.99. Karkar got his sound barrier a second after Attitude died. And phase 2 themselves used Sound Barrier to save them. So Skyfoxes could have easily popped their own to keep their Reaper alive and at least find a bit more value here. Hopefully we'll see the comms get a little clearer.
Huari's going to be able to pepper in some free shots if they didn't see the Mei rotating around, and Huari's going to block a little bit of the Coalescence as well with the Cryo. That's a nice little tech. Proman, though, finding that first pick. The Blizzard is able to go through. This time for Skyfoxes, Mika and Salt Shaker are going to be frozen. This should be a flip for them. Now phase 2 is going to try to delay this as long as possible. They've already gotten to the 80s, and that means it's going to be one fight wins for phase 2. Skyfoxes need to be focused from here on out. They've been close a couple times, being able to reverse this all the way to 99-99 in the first round, but are they going to be able to complete the flip this time?
Exactly. It's everything on the line, playing for all the marbles here, and it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise that H10 died so early. There was no chance to use Death Blossoms because Skyfoxes have given up all of their support ultimates, and along with that, a Mei.
65 now for phase 2. They can enter the point at will right now, especially since A10 has that Death Blossom. Nice wall is going to isolate the D.Va. There's going to... Oh, now the self-destruct, though, is going to make it a little bit more interesting for them. He's going to have to race walk away. The Death Blossom is still available. He's going to go ahead and use the nice move. It's going to keep his team alive. The Death Blossom is going to miss because of that displacement. That's going to be something that we see more and more as phase 2 do cap in the middle of this fight. Phase 2 now own the point. They're at 95%. Attitude's going to use the Death Blossom, but it's still a 5v5. Soxy's been popping off so far on the snake. We're finding even more frags. You're looking at the HP. Skyfox and phase 2 both very low.
Both very low here, and now the self-destruct flying out to get rid of the last bits of those overshields. Finds Blastro and Karkar now depleted. No more music pumping through. His phase is going to fall shortly. There's a damage on here and a Blizzard.
The Blizzard goes through. The defense matrix was hunting for it, but it does not slide into the TM as phase 2 still have a numbers advantage. Skyfoxes, though, showing some grit, showing some power, but unfortunately, when they had the advantage, it didn't seem to matter because phase 2 had already done enough to set themselves up for an eventual victory. Skyfoxes needed phase 2 to make a mistake that they didn't make the end game of Nepal, and we're seeing phase 2 up against Skyfoxes 1-0 right now. Some good team play coming in from them, some miscommunication coming in from Skyfoxes, but we all assume that phase 2 and the Reaper would go hand in hand, right?
Yep,
it's a perfect fit for them, and it's showing up on the field right now against Skyfoxes.
Yeah, it's just Skyfoxes maybe could have, should have, would have, potential ifs, but it was really over when phase 2 flipped the point right out from underneath their noses. They were like, I don't know, a 6v4 maybe, and Skyfoxes from that point on had to bring it back with that man disadvantage, no ultimates available, and that just wasn't really going to happen, unfortunately, at that point in time. Like you said, Boop, phase 2 playing like they're always thinking about the end game scenario, right? Always have a little bit of something in their back pocket, and if they don't, it's fine. I'm totally down with just losing these fights. Let's draw some ultimates. Let's draw some cooldowns out of Skyfoxes. Staying really calm and collected throughout this match against what on paper looks like a much more experienced team.
The other big thing about phase 2 is that they're not afraid to get into the face of Skyfox. I think there's been a little bit of a dance for some other teams, especially with these Orissas, right? Put the shield down, you wait 7 seconds. You put another shield down, you move up just a little while longer, trying to wait for some picks, where phase 2 is not letting that dance happen. They're creating a whole new genre of music for this game because phase 2 unafraid of Skyfoxes, and that's another thing a lot of these trials teams, teams that came in from trials that have ended up in the playoffs, have to do. A lot of them go into a game looking like underdogs, thinking like underdogs, and then playing like underdogs. And phase 2 hasn't done that just yet. Even though I said that Skyfoxes might be right for an upset here, they are the better team. They were the better team coming into playoffs. They've got those names, they've got the mechanical skill and talent, but the problem for them, and I think this is shown through the attitude Death Blossom on just the Supercharger, well, it was a good idea. Maybe he was trying to make some space, get the Supercharger away.
Maybe he thought he could soften up the tanks.
Right? Like, it didn't seem like his team was ready for it. And that's just been happening over and over and over again for Skyfoxes.
And even here on Shrine, when Attitude did get off that really beautiful Blossom, jumping from the second story, again, again, it wasn't comboed with anything from his team. They end up losing that fight anyways. And so it seems like right now Skyfoxes are taking this as 6-1v1s rather than 1-6v6. And phase 2, despite their lack of pedigree, really blowing Skyfoxes out of the water. I've been really impressed, and especially here where they're playing the long distance damage game, not getting ahead of themselves, right? Not putting themselves out of position. I know what my job is, it's to put in damage. It doesn't matter what's happening on the point. I'll get on there, sure, if I'm the only one left, but I have more important things to do. And if I move out of position, I'm not only not going to really be helping my team, but I'm going to become a liability.
So this is when A10 would get subbed out usually. I wonder if they're going to keep it in because he played very, very well. And I wouldn't want to mess with the chemistry right now, especially since they were able to take that map away from Skyfoxes. And the other thing this season is, Control used to be the upset map, right? This is when the underdog would win a map because it's a little bit more chaotic, it's a little bit more brawly. But this season so far, it's actually been Assault. So Phase 2 should feel pretty good going into this next map, as both teams, I think, have similar scores on Assault this season. What Skyfoxes need to do is just kind of put it all together. Again, they've got the mechanical skill to outplay Phase 2 individually, like you said, but as a team right now, Phase 2 playing better. It's not all about the mechanics sometimes.
Exactly. You don't have to be a star. The W is the W, no matter how it happens. I'm also really curious if we're going to see a swap from the Skyfoxes side, put in a different combination of DPS. Although, if Skyfoxes have looked over their own tape, our next map type is where they drop that map to Phase 2. It was on Assault, although we are going to go to Volskaya. They don't want to repeat the same thing on Paris, where it's just so sad. The whole team gets grabbed and dies, and Boostio is just standing there in the background waiting for EMP. Oh, so sad.
So Boostio looks like he's going to stay on the bench for now. Phase 2 is going to keep A10 in. I like the idea here. Left, though, on the Batiste, and Karkar on the Batiste as well. We actually haven't seen a ton of Batiste contenders in general, so I'm really excited to see how effective they are going to be for the team.
Definitely. Both of these players very, very well versed on the Lucio role, but Baptiste, you do have quite a bit of mobility as well, but not as much as you might expect. Oh, A10 finds the first pick.
Some beautiful healing coming in from Phase 2. Salt Shaker should have died a while ago, but everyone had the same idea. They went straight for that Orisa. The healing from the Batiste was there as well. They were able to overcome Skyfoxes in their attack and take down 3.
Do have to be careful, though, as Orisa's getting hooked and deleted early has spelled the doom for many, many a defense. That, in fact, is one of Skyfox's win conditions. So shield placement, use of Fortify are going to be key here, because Phase 2 can always attack stronger than Skyfoxes, like they did in this last fight, but it's not something you would rely on.
The wall is going to try to block off their vision. Oh, Halt Hook trying to go off as well, unable to do that. And I like what the Orisas are doing there, is you're using the Fortify with the Halt. It makes your movement a little bit more random, and you can't get hooked if you're fortified, so it makes it a little bit harder to hit you anyway. Another hook on the Salt Shaker, though this time around it's going to be pulled out of the Immortality Field. Amplification now both ways, one's getting a little bit more value than the other, and that's going to be for Skyfoxes. You still have 2.5 minutes on point A, but A10 going to find the headshot onto the main, and then the Blizzard comes out as well. The Transcendence is there, though, for Skyfoxes to keep them in this game, as Clothesman finds the Hanzo in the end, and Phase 2 are falling. Without that Transcendence, it might have been a little bit more interesting here, but Skyfoxes use their ultimate advantage well and take down Phase 2 on the first point. About 2 minutes left, and they will have a good amount of time in the bank remaining going into the second point.
Boon's Roadhog has been great for Skyfoxes so far. We all know him as that standout Zarya player way back before Zaryas were popular. Also has a really handy diva, and his Roadhog we haven't really seen much in Contenders, but it's been very impressive. Those 2 pulls onto Salt Shaker's Orisa were the reason that they had such a good time.
And that's why you put the wall up in front of the Roadhog and block the hook. The Dragon Strike's there, Transcendence is there as well. A10 knows that Clone Man's head is there too, as he's going to be able to get the Storm Bow kill. Phase 2 still in charge right now. They did give up that first point, but the defense here stabilizes quickly and pushes Skyfoxes off. Pika, the only one with an ultimate. Amplification Natures might help against Skyfoxes, but Skyfoxes definitely have the advantage in terms of ultimates right now.
Exactly. You really want to get that Transcendence. ASAP is going to save all of those immobile tanks from Whoaryu's Blizzard. And interesting, despite what seems like a hot hand on the Hanzo, he was the first one to get a pick in this defense as well. A10's going to swap to the Sombra. Very interesting. Obviously trying to target Lastro. He has him in his sights right now, but this is a really interesting play for Phase 2, designed to shake things up when it was already working pretty well.
Hasn't hacked anyone just yet. The supercharger is out. Is going to go ahead and get the hack down, and he's going to fall right away. This is bad news for FaZe here. They've already lost 2 members, one very important one in, and Pika is so very low as well. Actually going to throw that Dragon Drag. Blaster's going to get the final blow onto the Roadhog. As the Blizzard comes, he's going to block a little bit of the amplification matrix. You're not going to be able to shoot around the corner if you're frozen, and they've done enough damage to FaZe 2 in order to get them off the point as Skyfoxes complete the round. That was easy going there on Assault on Volskaya. But again, the question in Contenders this season has been, will the defense give up just the same amount of time on the other side? These defenses have slowly been improving throughout the season. We just saw in our last game the defense for Second Wind get a little bit better. This time around, it needs to be Skyfoxes, and they need to show that improvement because FaZe 2 could potentially finish with the same amount of time with how they've been playing the rest of today's game.
Yeah, Skyfoxes got to dig deep. But FaZe 2, I'm just kind of shaking my head right now, swapping A10 off of Hanzo. Not sure who made that decision, but anytime you're going to be swapping to a new hero, you have to be considering not just how it's going to fit in the composition against that specific team, but speaking in terms of ultimates, you're not going to get EMP within the next fight, most likely. Skyfoxes barely used maybe one ultimate to try and force that point B, so you know they're going to have Blizzard. You know they're going to have Whole Hog. You know they're going to have maybe Amp Matrix, right? And swapping to a new hero where maybe at best you're going to be hacking one Zen, maybe. You can only hack one target at a time. You're not going to find a ton of value. Now that we have 2-2-2 roll lock, we're going to see even more the strength of a single DPS. Sombra definitely does more utility than she does DPS. And so you need to start looking at heroes that have a ton of value in that mid-fight without ultimate, and Hanzo is one of the best.
FaZe 2 going to be coming out of the attacking side with A10 on that Hanzo. Skyfox is going to be running the same comp as last time. FaZe 2 left on this. Batiste hasn't really done much other than save Salt Shaker a little earlier on, but we're going to see their attack here as they do enter the objective. They're trying to move forward, and that they're able to do. They're able to flank a little bit further than Skyfoxes was able to do, or make a little bit more movement than Skyfoxes was able to do on their first approach, and they're very close to touching that objective.
Biding their time, healing up in the warm glow of the Amp Matrix. Oh, they're going to boost the Hog up! Surprise hook!
That was awesome. You boost up, the Halt goes up at the same time, the hook does as well. That's what's called trust. That's the team communication that we're looking for all of the other teams. Another hook for Pika comes through, and this defense is crumbling like we may have predicted a little earlier on, but Salt Shaker going down is going to make it a little bit harder for FaZe 2. They got to clean this point up. That they do, as Skyfoxes will fall eventually, and FaZe 2 should be grabbing this point.
What a great play.
That was cool.
It makes me think, way back in the day, Meta Athena, when they went all the way around Eichenwald, they boosted up over the buildings.
Moon was on that team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now he's getting taken advantage of by the surprise wall. Man, FaZe 2, really surprising me this season, and for the better. Now they come in here, nearly have the Dragons, do have Amp Matrix, so it depends on how hard they want to push in. They're probably guessing Skyfoxes are close to these ultimates, so do you want to go in hard and heavy? Looks like they have no choice.
Oh, they're able to get a pick on the other side, though, but every pick on the defensive side, especially on Assault on point B, is much better for them. This is going to be over for FaZe 2. And remember, this is the new patch, so the snowball into the second point's a lot harder. You don't get as much time after you capture the point either, and the spawns are quicker if they die on point A and the point gets tapped for the defensive side. So these are all the same rules as Overwatch League. I know in our last game, but we want to be clear as to what patch we're playing on right now, as FaZe 2 will be coming in with 4 ultimates. Sox could get some nice right clicks and get to that Blizzard. Cloudman, though, going to find that kill, and it's going to keep FaZe 2 away for the time being.
Oh, that's just so painful. A really good ultimate usage from Skyfoxes too. They just use that Amp Matrix. They know where FaZe 2 is going to be coming in. Probably had Sonic Arrow launched by Attitude, so no surprises. They're going to funnel all of that damage along with Poon's Hook into the massive FaZe 2 and hopefully find a pick, and that's exactly what happened. So now they have all the tools they need to continue to hold here, and hopefully Lastro is only going to be using this Transcendence as a last resort against Sox's Blizzard, because time and time again we've seen those slippery supports getting a bit too over-eager and then leaving their team without an insurance policy.
Now we're seeing a little bit of that traditional bunker with the hooks and the hogs coming through, and that's when we find our kills. It's a good long-distance damage coming in from Nishik, taking Karkar down, but I don't think it's enough. We might get a 6 ultimate versus 6 ultimate fight coming up here. If Karkar and Hoon are able to get there soon, both of those characters can develop that ultimate really quickly. So this is going to be a banger of a fight coming up. Phase 2 need to go walk in confidently like they have each time, but I can actually see a little bit of that melting on Assault so far.
Ironically speaking, since we are on Volskaya, could use the Dragons herd Skyfoxes into Sox's Blizzard, herd them into Pika's Roadhog ultimate. The sky's really the limit here, but you cannot get teams.
The Hulk goes through both ways. Implication Nation is going to burst through that May wall, and the Immortality Field is going to be in a perfect place. The Dragon Strike is going to try to take it down. Is it going to be able to even take down? I don't think it does. So Skyfoxes will continue their dominance on a defense, and this is what we said they needed to do. They couldn't give Phase 2 the similar time bank as themselves, so their defense is stronger this time around.
Phase 2 haven't left themselves entirely out in the cold. They do have Blizzard, they do have Whole Hog, but they're gonna swap things up. They don't want to have a question with the time bank. They're just gonna go in right now. And this is actually not a bad choice. You can get a lot of damage against Lastro and Karkar close up. You can farm Hoon for ultimate as a Reaper. So this is not a terrible choice for Phase 2. They have been extremely vulnerable to Skyfox's
That was a beautiful halt, but it's not going to be enough to find a frag. Blizzard's going to freeze up some of Skyfoxes as well, but no follow-up damage between any of Phase 2. She finally finds that first kill, but left is down. It might be too little too late for Phase 2 to try to get onto this point. The Dragon Strike is going to be the end of it for Phase 2. They're down to 2 minutes and 27 seconds.
Much better communication with Skyfoxes on Volskaya. Clone Man getting so many finishing blows as an Orisa means that everybody knows where those targets are, who's the highest priority, who's been dinged, where to send those shots flying in. Now Phase 2 down to maybe 2 more good pushes, and they don't really have any ultimates to speak of. Pika may just can't keep getting picked, man. Halt's not going to find anything that time, but these arrows have been using so much.
Yeah, he's catching them all in the face right now. And so Phase 2 hasn't been able to approach the point in a very long time. His attitude has finally found himself a character that he's been able to impress on for a long period of time. It's always been in these small streaks, but so far his Hanzo has really done some damage against Phase 2, not just in terms of their characters, but in terms of their ego too. Phase 2 looks a little slower. They look a little bit more apprehensive than they have, especially on control. And even on point A, Phase 2 Supercharger Novi said they're going to be able to break through that wall really easily. The Immortality Field is gone, but the self-destruct isn't going to find anybody. They've been able to take some space. They blocked up the Hanzo just for a little while longer. A10 needs to make something happen. The Coalescence will take down that May. Dragon Strike, though, is out. It's going to separate some of Phase 2. Assault Kicker has already been taken down. They ran out of ultimates. A10, if he gets to the Death Blossom, it will be enough if they take down the second Immortality Field from Karkar, which they don't have to worry about because he is down. A10 is going to push Skyfoxes off of the point and take 2 points for Phase 2. That was looking a little bad for them there
Very
for
dicey.
a little while, but 1 minute on the clock for them, 3 minutes and 40 seconds for Skyfox. It still could be anyone's game because Phase 2 were very explosive on point A a little earlier today. 3 minutes, 40 seconds, though, is a pretty big time bank to compare that 1 minute against.
Yeah, you keep bringing up the mental factor, though, and that's kind of what's worrying me the most, as Phase 2 had such a hot control round, but they're slowly losing that morale, right? Because I have faith in A10's Reaper. He's produced before, and if he gets within range of Skyfoxes, I think it's going to work out pretty well. Phase 2 have shown that they like to run this composition, and they're competent. The problem is unforced error after unforced error, just not standing behind the shield, peeking for damage when you really don't need to, and that combined with Attitude's hot hand and Hoon and Clone Man's teamwork meant that Phase 2 basically wasted 5 minutes of their own time by constantly getting staggered right out of spawn. And so we need to see that tighten up a little bit from this team if we are going to see this go their way.
Maybe put Pika on Reinhardt. That worked for them on Village, right?
Just charge
that
it.
happened. That's a thing that happened. As Phase 2 going to be coming out with that Reaper once more. I like A10 on the Reaper. They tend to be doing better when A10 is on the Reaper. Yes, he's had a good Hanzo, a capable Hanzo, but what he offers on Reaper, I think, is so much more than what he's offered on Hanzo. Skyfoxes. Hoon is on the Roadhog. Clone Man on the Orisa. They've been playing very well together with those halt hooks. A10 trying to punish that Roadhog, though, from getting frozen. The nice wall is going to block some vision. Now they're going to be in that ice cream sandwich. They're going to be able to break through. A10 using his bullets to get rid of the wall. That's something that I wish people in my ranked game would do more often. Phase 2 still have all 6 members, and Skyfoxes cannot say the same as 2 will fall. They have that 64 immortality field, not going to last much longer. Clone Man is going to be the next to go back to spawn. Phase 2 should be grabbing this point A. It doesn't matter if you play hide and seek. If you're the champion or not, you will have to give up the point. As Phase 2 capture point A, you're not going to have a ton of time going into point B. They could have a Death Blossom, and they will have a Coalescence, and there's nothing other than Attitude's ult on the other side.
Yeah, maybe an amplification matrix as well, but this is all going to be stalling tactics for Skyfoxes. Phase 2 doing really well with target prioritization. Hoon is one of the chunkiest members on Skyfoxes, but once you dodge that hook, you know he's not really going to be doing a ton against you as a Reaper, so why not just burn that pick down? Then the next one to fall was the Mei. There's not much that the supports can do when there's nobody really around to support.
The wall goes up. Coalescence does as well. It's going to keep everyone nice and healthy for the time being as Pika searching for an ultimate to eat, and it does not come. A10 has only got no health right now as he's going to be taken down at 98%. This is very bad news for Phase 2 as Skyfoxes have not lost a member at all, but Pika going to find that pick on the Clone Man. Blizzard, though, is also going to freeze up some members of Skyfoxes. The Transcendence is going to be enough to keep that Roadhog alive. They got to burst Hoon down, and that's not happening. There's just not enough body. There's not enough beat for Phase 2 on the objective to keep fighting on as Skyfoxes stop them on point B. Phase 2 were able to capture the first point, so there is a win condition for them. Skyfoxes, if they're unable to get a tick on point B, this will draw, and it'll be a mulligan, and we'll go into the next map at 1-0.
Phase 2 could, though, hold Skyfoxes from even capping point A, and then we would see a very unexpected 2-0 going Phase 2's way. So it's all up in the air. Skyfoxes coming alive on their point B defense, but point A so far has eluded them. And Phase 2 with their gung-ho attitude, just go in there, go A10, press mouse 1, I got you, bud. And Skyfoxes haven't really seemed to be able to react to that kind of playstyle so far.
They're going to switch it up for the defensive side, put an A10 on the Hanzo. That's exactly what they did last time around. It kind of worked, but we're at 3 minutes and 40 seconds here. It didn't work good enough. Just because you quell one push, right, with some good Hanzo shots, again, it's that consistency. You need to be able to repeat your play over and over again, and that's what's going to mark, in my opinion, the biggest difference between some of our already Contenders players versus the ones that still need a little bit of work. It's being able to replicate good play over and over again. And
next time and every time.
Yep, and Phase 2, not quite there yet, but you could say the same for Skyfoxes. Clone Man, arguably the most consistent on that team. It just feels a little iffy for me that he's on Orisa. I know that's the meta right now. That's where he's got to be for the foreseeable future, but who's going to step up? Who's going to make those plays for Skyfoxes? Because Clone Man's going to have his hands tied a little bit because he can make a nice halt play. He can get some nice picks, but he has to have the team around him enable, and that's how you do it. Karkar going to get the final blow, but that was a halt hook combo, but a lot of Skyfoxes do lose some health. Phase 2 looks like they might be giving up this point A, especially after A10 falls. Skyfoxes now are looking to win this map.
Yeah, Skyfoxes going again with the divide and conquer. The hook and completely destroy, honestly, as Hoon just rampaging through this point with this Roadhog. Phase 2 didn't really have the time to try and to develop a strategy. Skyfoxes are going to be able to take point A.
A10 switching over to the Sombra. Not sure how I like this. It did not work at all.
Depends on how fast Skyfoxes want to push.
It's true. He literally just hacked one person the last time he was on this Sombra. This is exactly how it happened last time, too. He revealed himself to hack somebody, and then he got killed. He's going to be able to get the hack off onto the Roadhog, and he's going to die. So history repeats itself for A10. 12% to that EMP. That's a lot further than you would want in that first reveal of stealth. Skyfox is coming in with 6 members, and this gives them a 6v5 on the objective. They're going to get the immortality field down, though, so that means Skyfox are going to be a little bit more vulnerable. The Roadhog does fall. The mortality field is going to be enough to keep Phase 2 alive for the time being. They do end up getting rid of it, but it gives them enough time for A10 to come back, get a pick, and I gotta eat my words, he's already at 45% in his second life. He can find a 2 more, but in the end, Lep that gives them that extra life.
Yeah, and not just with that amazing healing, but in his positioning, you can see him on the high ground at an off angle to the Orisa bunker of phase 2, and Skyfoxes had to decide. They're not running even a diva themselves, so outside of one of Kuhn's hooks, there was no way that Lep was going to be threatened on that high ground. He was shelling in so much healing that, well, anyways, Lep going to throw out the amplification.
Amplification Matrix enough to break through the wall. It's going to give them the vision that they need. They're not going to get halt hooked, and the Dragon Strike comes through as well. Mortality Field is going to be used, and you're going to want that back, I think, a little while later. Left as phase 2 using all of their ultimates and no value out of any of them. Skyfoxes know this. They know phase 2 don't have anything left to give, and they take over.
That's going to be it. 1-1 between phase 2 and Skyfoxes. After Skyfoxes absolutely demolishing phase 2's defense on Volskaya. And, we were kind of praising phase 2 for their teamwork in the past, that they were, able to work better together than Skyfoxes was on Control. But on Assault, the most arguably team-centric based map type in Overwatch, that's when things started to fall apart. And it wasn't just, bomb going out and then getting nothing at the exact same time that, the Blizzard is going out, also not getting anything, right? There was a moment where the Mei wall came up at the exact same time that the Orisa shield hit the wall, and then there's just two barriers standing there at the corner doing nothing. And you want to be able to trade those cooldowns, both very, very important to keeping your defense alive, and phase 2 kind of just struggling, and slowly over time, those small miscommunications, those small errors add up.
Well, there was a little bit of that on both sides. Both of these teams struggling a little bit with that communication. On Nepal, it wasn't phase 2, right? It was Skyfoxes. On Assault, it was phase 2. And I think we got to go back to the fact that on Nepal, they went out there, right? They went out there, we're going to win this thing. We're going to win Control. We're going to go up 1-0. Then all of a sudden, Skyfoxes settle down, they get that defense going, and phase 2 confidence just seemed to completely deplete.
Yeah.
They didn't attack the point with the same type of moxie that they had been even on point A, and I think that's a big deal for Skyfox. I think they were able to get into phase 2's head just a little bit, but both of these teams are going to have to make some adjustments at halftime. This one has been a bit of a banger, I think, but the first 2 maps here are just as long as the first 2 games that we had today, like you said a little earlier, but we're still going to take that 6-minute break. Let's see what happens after halftime.